Kent Monkman is an internationally renowned Cree artist. He was born and raised in Winnipeg. We took him out for a ride through the city's North End, the neighborhood that served as an inspiration for some of his most famous paintings.
Which part did you say your last name comes from?
Which part? Which area?
We need to figure out if we're cousins.
Loon Straits were the Monkmans that I'm related to.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. How about you?
Lake Manitoba. So Lake Manitoba and Vogler.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know if we're related. People ask me all the time. Does Kent Monkman carry his status card?
I do.
Why do you carry your status card?
Well, I believe in exercising my treaty rights. And I think it's important that we all exercise our treaty rights. If we have treaty rights, that we should be using them daily.
Yeah.
As a reminder to people that we are in treaty.
Do you use it for small purchases when you go for coffee?
Well, maybe not coffee.
Exercising it daily, like, I want that tax off.
Well, yeah, you know, it's legit.
Yeah. Okay, we're gonna jump over here.
Hi.
Can I ask what's going on?
Oh, we're shooting something for CBC Indigenous.
Okay, so tell us where we are right now.
We are standing in a spot where I stood right where that camera is, and I took a picture of this scene right here, which became one of my Urban Rez paintings. And those images would be the background for contemporary stories about, you know, what it means to be Indigenous in Winnipeg and what it means to be Indigenous in this country and what it means to be basically be colonized, you know. And one of the themes of that that exhibition was the influence of the church, you know, and the influence of Christianity on Indigenous people with residential schools and so forth. And in that series I have like Renaissance angels like flying around, and there are other legendary beings kind of present. And in that painting, you know, I'm dealing with the violence, themes of violence against Indigenous women.
What do you love about Winnipeg?
Well, what I love about Winnipeg is that this is my territory,
yeah.
And I feel very much like I belong here. Another reason for making these paintings was to remind the rest of the country that places like Winnipeg were gathering places for Indigenous people. So this is Indigenous territory as much as any other place.
Yeah. The last question that I have here, it is Urban Rez. You are talking about warriors. What do you think it means to be a warrior?
We have a lot of warriors in our community that are fighting for change, and those are the people that are leading us, you know, in cultural ways, but also artists and political leaders, and they're kind of on the front line. So that's what I think of.
So when you say people are fighting for what they believe in, what are you fighting? What are you fighting for?
So my work is about trying to change how this country is representing Indigenous people and how this country thinks about its own history. A lot of what I fight for is changing that and getting Indigenous points of view into the museums so that we become part of that story and how that story is told.
Okay, let's go to the next location. I think this building has changed since you last painted it.
Oh, they got painted.
Let's do it.
The West Hotel definitely looks different now, you know, from when I photographed it a few years ago even.
Yeah.
It's the all new mural on there, which is pretty cool.
So Kent, we're in the North End.
Yeah.
We're in front of one of your paintings. My French sucks. How do you say it again?
Petit déjeuner.
So petit déjeuner.
Which it means breakfast. When I made my painting, I put these modernist female nudes in the front of this hotel to talk about the vulnerability of Indigenous women and about the vulnerability of the female spirit. So, you know, European settler bringing their patriarchal ideas to how they see Indigenous people.
Why do you think that violence against Indigenous women is such an epidemic in Canada?
Oh man, Monkman, you're asking me some tough questions. Well, this is all part of the colonial experience, and you know, the colonizer basically didn't even want to talk to Indigenous women, and our women were leaders in our community. So it began with the denigration of women in our communities from the beginning of the colonial relationship. So women were stripped of their importance. It really tells you, it speaks to the value of Indigenous lives. It's valued very differently.
So you said that I was asking heavy questions.
Yeah.
You deal with heavy matter. How long are you going to continue doing that type of work for, or do you think that you might shift gears in a completely different direction in the future?
And paint flowers or something?
I don't know. You tell me.
No, man, I really feel like I'm accepting and embracing that I have a certain skill to make paintings that really authorize Indigenous experience into the canon of art history, whether they're historical experiences or contemporary, and I want to just keep doing that. And, you know, in many ways I'm just scratching the surface because there's so many experiences, past and present, that have not been brought into the canon of art history yet, so I'm just going to keep doing it.
Side question. Where are you off to next?
Back to Toronto, just working on my next projects.
So no flowers.
Yeah. No flowers.
No flowers.
Not that there's anything wrong with painting flowers, but I'd probably get really bored with that.